Welcome to the Business Shop Podcast, where our guests speak on meeting the challenges of entrepreneurship, as well as offer tips and advice on business, marketing, technology, and more. Whether you are a newbie or a seasoned professional, this episode is for you. I am your host, Audrey Wiggins. Let's chop it up. Before we get started, quick shout out to Perry Mason, my cousin, for the new music. What do you think? Leave me a comment. Find his music on Apple Music as well as Spotify. That's PerryMason. Perry Mason. Thanks, Trace. Love the new music. Peace out. Hello, Chop Squad. It's great to be with you as usual, and I'm excited for our guest today, Helen and Alvin Copeland. They're entrepreneurs, authors, and very excited to present them to you. We're friends that have been in business for a long time, and I met them near the beginning of my business career, so I'm excited to be able to, again, present them to you and really share the knowledge and, the breadth and depth of their expertise as entrepreneurs. Now, Helen, she's a dynamic entrepreneur with a background in management and public relations. And after working at the Cleveland Clinic Foundation, she founded Copeland Communications Group, or CCG. There, she helped others achieve their entrepreneurial goals. She's known as the Maven of Mentoring, and that's true because she did that for me as well. Enjoys studying the Bible, visiting museums, and hosting tea events. She lives with her husband, Alvin, who you'll meet in a moment here in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. In a moment, we'll come back and we'll ask some questions. You're going to hear a little message here. Knock out your competition with Altogether Marketing. We elevate your brand. Take a stance with your business name, logo, the tagline, your colors, even the fonts for your business. And then jab left with your website, jab right with core values. Back up with product experience and bring it on with you. Visit altogether.biz and let us help you create a knockout brand. Helen, Alvin, welcome to the Business Shop.
Thank you, Audrey. We're glad to be here.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now, Alvin, I know I gave all this big intro about Helen, but I know you're an entrepreneur as well. Tell us about your business.
Well, the other end of our business, we're involved in what I call quality management systems. Mm-hmm. We install, we consult, and we do training, and basically go into companies of various sizes, large and small, and help them set up their systems so they can be more quality oriented. And we put in processes, and then we teach them how to manage those processes. And later on, we go back and audit them from time to time.
Oh, wow.
And for that, they get certain certifications that many large corporations in our world now require companies to have. Mm-hmm. So I take small companies and large companies into an area where it's very restricted unless you have most of your processes under control.
Oh, wow. So what would this be manufacturing or what kind of businesses?
Well, it's manufacturing, but it can be any type of company. One of the standards that I teach and implement is called ISO 9000.
Oh,
and you probably have seen that on the side of buildings, especially automotive plants. It's really big in the Cleveland area because Cleveland is a part of the automotive food chain. So yeah, it's for all kinds of companies. One of the things that we're going to be doing in the future is helping smaller companies achieve some of those standards also. That'll just give them a more effective company operation.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So that's awesome. So I really appreciate you giving that information to us. We have this little real-rounded picture of this husband and wife team. This is really exciting to just have both spouses, so to speak, are entrepreneurs and out there helping others to grow their businesses as well, so they can be successful. And that's what I like about what you all, the both of you do. Maybe different industries, but the bottom line is the same. Let's grow. Let's be consistent, and you really understand, how we're serving our constituents as well. So I like that. So let's get started. Helen, I know you guys have the book out. So I don't know if you want to hold that up and talk about that for a moment, because being an entrepreneur It is a journey, and there's some of us have been on it for a while. There it is, on your mark, ready, set, go. Love that.
Mhm.
And so going forward, we know what we want to do. Some of us has business plans, some do not, and it's just it's more to it than just we go into business because we want to help and solve this particular problem, whether it's a tangible item or a service. So tell us how the two of you actually, how do you help people, entrepreneurs in that vein?
Well, first of all, I want to talk about the purpose, and there's purpose number one. It's
Mhm.
about 20 years ago, I created a workbook for new entrepreneurs
Hmm.
who needed assistance in finding a business mentor.
Oh,
So I put together a workbook for them. And as I said, it was almost 20 years ago. And to fast forward it, I thought about maybe I need to revisit that workbook and maybe, do a do over. Then I thought about it. Hey, everybody has the internet now. They can get access to anything, especially on mentoring. So I said, well, I need to kick it up a notch. Let
hmm,
me write a book. Okay.
wow.
And so the workbook from 20 years ago is a catalyst for me having the current on your mark, reset, go, moving beyond regrets to pursue your entrepreneurial dreams. That's a
Okay.
title and then some, isn't it?
It is.
But uh, and also I wanted to, the book focus is we're actually giving a tribute to entrepreneurs 50 and older. Okay.
Excellent. Okay.
People that are 50 years and older, maybe whatever in their youth, they tried entrepreneurship and it didn't work or whatever the reason. But we want them to know that you can hit the reset and do a do over, to revitalize your business. Now, because we can talk about this, Alvin and I, because we have a lot to share, number one. And number
Mhm.
two, we've been married for 54 years.
Wow. Come on, everybody. That's a blessing. Praise God, right?
And we have been in and out of entrepreneurship. Okay. So we have a lot to say, and we feel, and more importantly, we know we can help a new entrepreneur or an entrepreneur that needs to be, I call it getting beyond being unstuck. Okay.
Mm.
And the second portion of it is the reason that I wrote this book is because of the legacy factor in my family. I want to continue the legacy. Now, back in the 1940s, Audrey, my great grandmother had, in essence, her own little real estate business going. I mean, she had homes and apartments and she rented them out and she collected
Wow.
money, property management, and all that. So that was the generation that started the real estate back in the 1940s. Her grandson, great grandsons, and great great granddaughter are still living, as I call it, the Lewis legacy of real estate.
That's awesome. Yes, yes.
Now, I need to complete this thought because my uncle would always say, niece, come on, join us in the family real estate business. You can make a lot of money.
I can hear Mr.
And
Lewis
bless his
now.
heart, he tried for many years, and I just kept telling him thanks, but no thanks. I had an entrepreneurial spirit,
Yes.
but it was going to go in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I wanted to add a new branch to the family legacy, and that legacy would include me being a business owner, public relations, and Maven of Mentoring. I love that title, Maven of Mentoring.
I love it too.
Maven is such a nice Yiddish word meaning expert. So I took that and put on my mentoring and Maven hat and I wore it out. But anyway, so, but the most important thing is that I found that it can be just as rewarding to see that the entrepreneurial spirit continues in other unique ways. And by that way, I'm still honoring my grandmother, great grandmother, because I'm still honoring her because I got that entrepreneurial spirit. Okay, I just took it in a different direction. And again,
Mhm.
it adds a new chapter to my family legacy.
Yes. Awesome. Now, Alvin, what's your take?
Well, this legacy that Helen's talking about it was part of what drove her to want to become an entrepreneur. And I have the same situation in my family. I look back and I think about, I go back to my grandfather. Created a legacy. He had a business. Now, back then, I think we saw it was sort of the birth of a business that needed to be sustained by some other types of things. But he had a job, but also he had this yearning to start a business.
Okay.
So I remember, I think back and I go through our legacy, and he started a business. Now, he had 7 children.
Wow.
So you can imagine, trying to start a business and keeping it going during that period of time. But he did that. But fast forward, one of his children, my uncle, had one child. He had 7, but one uncle said, okay, I want to go into business also. So I look at his history, and that legacy from granddad passed down to him, and he started a business. Then along came one of his other sons, a second son. That son had 5 children. Okay. And he did the same thing. He said, I want to start my own business. So that was part of his legacy. So now we see from granddad down another generation. Okay. And then there was my dad, which was one of obviously the grandfather's sons. And I started a business. And I could go on probably for an hour and talk about the things that drove me to want to be an entrepreneur and started a business under some really tough circumstances, but we did it. So that legacy went down also. So when you combine Helen's legacy and my legacy of wanting to be an entrepreneur, then that's sort of a match made in heaven. There's no way that we could get away from that. Thus, that's why we sit here now, and it's been such a big part of our lives.
And it's important to, our individual histories and to really understand, like, well, where did I get this thought from, or this bug, and it's in your genes, and and you're watching osmosis or whatever, and seeing the generations before you and what they did and have similar experience. All right, thanks, Alvin, for that overview. That's really important about our legacy. Then Helen, going back a little more deeper into what is the motivation for actually writing the book?
Audrey, if I were to ask you, where do most dreams end up, what would be your response?
In the grave. Or just undone. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. A lot of people don't even think about that because, there's cemeteries are full of unfulfilled dreams. Okay. And I want our listeners, to know that their dreams shouldn't end up there. It's important. The motivation for me writing the book, there's, this particular aspect of it is I began to look at some past regrets and the sense of realizing that they were stumbling blocks for me and caused me to be stuck, and I wasn't moving forward in a healthy way, Audrey. So, for example, I regretted that I hadn't written books or manuscripts, not manuscripts, but books and or memoirs earlier in my life. And they may have been able to help other people, I don't want my regret going with me, my regrets going to accompany me to the cemetery. I'll put it that way. Okay?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So, and none of us should, that shouldn't be a goal. Okay? So I had a little exercise when I was dealing with my regrets, Audrey. I sat down one day and I wrote them down on a piece of paper. I balled them up and I threw them away.
Wow.
That was
symbolism was powerful.
That was very powerful because remember, regrets need not be an indication of failure, but a valid reason for a reset.
Okay.
I agree. Sort of continuing that thought. The words that you use when you talk about starting something all over again, doing a reset, people generally think, okay, it is failure. I didn't do certain things. And what comes with failure is a feeling of guilt. And what we've discovered, even in writing this book and really looking back, this book has really caused us to look back at our history of being an entrepreneur. And we've done so many things that you forget about and things
Okay.
that you struggle through. And you look back and say, well, the way we handle that, we went in this other direction. And the way we handled that, we went in a different direction. You know what? That's a reset.
Okay.
You can have multiple resets in your life. In fact, once the business is where you think it should be and you want it to be, then there's always some other place to go. So that's the point that we wanted to get across also. With God's help and being knowledgeable of the things of what he has set in your legacy that we've just talked about, you realize that, okay, you might be resetting many times in your entrepreneurial history, just like you do in your life. So that was another reason for the motivation for writing the book. As Helen said earlier, these are things that we've lived. And sometimes we have to just sit down and reflect on, well, what did we do and how did we do it? And, oh, that's a reset. Just another way of looking at it.
Okay. I like that. So what other challenges do you think entrepreneurs experience?
I think we can look at it this way. Challenges are disruptions. A
That's a
disruption. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I think Helen, she can probably tell you best about a situation that we had in the middle of something that we were involved in business, where she was involved having some problems with an aunt and so forth. So Helen, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, that came a time of a major disruption in our business, Audrey. I had an aunt who at the time was a retired nurse, and her husband had died many years before, and she had no children. And she was a retired nurse, but she had these myriad of health issues. So I stepped up. It was just starting off a few hours a week, and then the next thing was full blown. I'm taking care of everything.
Caregiver. Yeah.
And that went on for 3 years. Okay. And after 3 years, it was time for her to get, she's getting more serious health issues. So it's time for her to get into a nursing facility where she could get 24/7 care.
Okay.
So I did what I could, and it was time for me to move on. Okay. Now I had to move from that and hit the reset button. I had to get back to my business. Okay. After 3 years, I had to get back into, and I wanted to do the PR and so on and so forth. So when resets can come in the form of family matters, you might have to step out and help someone. It could be health issues. It could be financial challenges. There are all kinds of disruptions that can, be a part of your entrepreneurial journey. But, you have to keep it moving. You have to make adjustments and you have to do what you have to do. Every disruption can be an opportunity to begin a new reset. As Alvin said, you can have multiple resets in your life. So we encourage people not to give up. If you have to keep hitting that reset every year, do it until you feel that your purpose has finally been addressed.
And as we sit here as seasoned entrepreneurs, it's real important when you talk about, encouraging people and they have to start over, if they just have to pick up where they left off 5 years ago or whatever, that it's okay to do that and that they're not a failure. We aren't failures because, life does happen and sometimes it's out of our control. Most of the time it's out of our control. And then other times it may just be a choice that we have made, but to own up that choice and say, okay, that's what I've done. And, moving forward, this is really what I want to do. Because I do believe that at some point through our life experiences, we end up seeing full circles like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I need to figure out how I'm going to get this done and start asking for help. And in the reset, sometimes we go back and relearn what we already know, but it has to be, refreshed or renewed, so to speak.
Yeah. To one of your points there, we stress one thing in the book is that, you have to take an inventory of yourself from time to time. And sometimes it's a situation where you find out some things about yourself that on the surface does not look very healthy. For example, you might be saying, okay, I put off this really important thing over here in favor of this other thing that's not quite as important. And I'm beginning to see a pattern in doing that. But sometimes that thing that's not so important is the direction that you need to move in, because that's where your legacy and your background and your talents and your skills are guiding you. So sometimes there's a self-evaluation that has to go on. So people feel guilty about that sometimes because they're chasing down this rabbit hole of something that is expected of them by others, where maybe God has given you a focus to go in this direction. So you have to be very much aware of yourself. That's a reset. That's a major reset. So we discovered that during our years being in business also.
That's awesome right there. For sure. Yeah, because a lot of times we have a tendency in our insecurity listen to, the voices over here that someone is saying that we should do. And we know in our heart of hearts they're wrong.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but the struggle, get that ball and chain off our ankle.
Yeah,
so you can propel forward.
We're not reckless with it. We know there's realities of life. There's living and paying bills and all those sorts of things. So sometimes you have to do double duty. You have to do multiple things just to keep things together until you arrive at the place that you think you need to be.
Absolutely, for sure. Now, can you offer some courses of actions that we can take with talking about this reset and starting over?
Yeah, there's some specific things we can talk about. I have Helen talk about, this is one I never knew about, this imposter syndrome.
Have you ever heard of that, Audrey? Probably.
Oh yeah, whatever. I'm the queen of being an imposter. Yeah, I think we all hit that one. I know what. And the people on the outside of us, and I'm gonna give it back to you, since you guys brought that up, because people don't really see that. And sometimes sometimes your younger family members, might see some of that, but they don't understand that that's why you're doing it. They just may say, well, you're not really, I see you come up with all this great stuff or whatever, but you didn't execute, but they don't know really what was behind that not executing. It was the fear. But go ahead. I don't want to take over. Go ahead.
Because it's so important to me, and so I'm trying to grasp it. I checked out psychology today. And just for the sake of me getting through this smoothly, I'm going to quote what they say.
Okay.
With regards to imposter syndrome, people who struggle with imposter syndrome believe that they are undeserving of their achievements and the high esteem in which they are, in fact, generally held. They feel that they aren't as competent or intelligent as others might think, and that soon enough, people will discover the truth about them. Unquote.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Isn't that powerful?
Yeah.
There's so many people suffering from that. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. But anyway, that's something that I want people, first of all, to realize it and not let it become a stronghold in your life.
Yes. We're going to pray that off of us.
And there's three other things that we talk about. Well, there are many things, barriers that we talk about in the book. But I want to talk a little bit about fear, worry, and anxiety.
In our book, we call this slaying the giants.
They're giants because we all suffer from this. And I'll tell you a little bit first about, let's just talk a little bit about worry and anxiety. And basically, I'll give you an example. Here's what worry will do. It will come to you and it'll say, there's a train wreck coming up. Something coming down the tracks. Train wreck means something is going to be destroyed. Okay. It's not specific. It doesn't tell you what the train wreck is. It doesn't say how fast it's going, where it's going to hit. It's just something coming down the road, and you're listening to that. And we listen to that every night on the news, right?
Right.
The train wreck coming, okay? But then what happens is there's something that's called anxiety sets up inside of us. Anxiety becomes the expression of the train wreck coming. The anxiety is in your mind, and you start to kind of summarize in your mind, this is what this train wreck is going to be. This is specifically what's going to happen. Yeah. And you begin to take ownership of it. And when you take ownership of it, what happens, it becomes a real barrier in your life. And now you have fulfill the mission of a lie that the worry created in your mind.
Also, as human, we're going to worry sometimes, some of us. But I remembered something that I read many years ago, and it's still in my spirit. It says, worry is like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it gets you nowhere. Hello.
Absolutely.
But anyway, there's a chapter on slaying the giants. That's a very powerful chapter. Okay.
Yeah.
All of them are powerful, but there's something that all of us humans deal with, all of these, these are giants, and we have to slay those giants.
Yes, we do. Yeah. And if we need help doing it, please, let's ask for help. If it's a
Exactly.
trusted friend or like you, we need a Maven of Mentoring.
Yeah.
Or a master of mentoring, we really we're laughing, stuff, but that is so true. How can we get your book?
You can get our book by going to onyourmarkresetgo.com.
Okay.
And that would be very great, a good step. And also we'd like for you to fill out the contact page and leave a comment about the podcast. And if I may, Audrey, there is one thing that I think is very powerful, a concluding thought that I have.
Okay.
And it's something I called valuing the visceral. That means that you go with your first gut feeling, your instinct or hunch when you're an entrepreneur. Here's a scene. It's back 20, 25 years ago when General Colin Powell came to Cleveland.
Okay.
He came to talk to youth organizations. Now, as a Maven of Mentoring, if I wanted to get contracts, I better get down there to the event. And some of my colleagues said, I'm not going to go. They were very negative. And I said, oh, that surprised me that they were negative, But anyway, I stepped on in faith, trusted my gut. And while there, I was sitting at a table by myself. And up walks two women. We introduced, we all exchanged cards and we introduced ourselves and so on and so forth. One of the ladies said to me, "This is divinely orchestrated. We're here because we need someone to set up and manage our mentoring program."
Wow.
Keep that thought in mind.
Okay.
Now, a lot of us have heard of Cedric the Entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you got to risk it to get the biscuit. So my biscuit, it was my faith in needing to be there for that Colin Powell event. The fact that I was going it alone only serves to demonstrate that entrepreneurs, sometimes, entrepreneurship is often a lonely road to travel. What I want to do is to let the listening audience know that because I stepped out in faith and went with my gut, I eventually received a hefty mentoring contract. So, ladies and gentlemen, please value the visceral. Go with your gut, your gut feeling, your instinct or hunch. That's what I wanted to say.
Very awesome. Thank you. We appreciate that. So how can we get in touch with you? Otherwise, your social media channel, or how can we
Well, we are sassy senior citizens, but we have to get a little more savvy. Okay.
All right. The Tech Diva will take care of you. Okay.
We got to get with the program.
But go to the website. The website is there.
Yeah,
yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Please, plug into the website and fill out the contact form. Just think Helen just asked for. Yeah. So thank you guys again. And Chop Squad, you have your marching orders as usual. And it's very important, the work that Helen and Alvin have done over the years and culminating into a book for entrepreneurs, new or some of us are still on that road. So thanks again. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you for
so
having
much,
us.
Audrey.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to The Business Shop. We hope that you were able to glean valuable information from our guests and that you will download and share this podcast. Your rating and review is much appreciated. To go deeper with our guests, please visit their website and social channels to learn more about us
Please visit businessshop.info or altogether.biz, where we will help you expand your brand.